August helps us really get a grip on the shifting reality in front of us, what we need to see, who we're becoming. What is it that if I was going to structure my life around? What's the goal? What's the vision? What's the value? What's the why?
One thing that's been coming up a lot lately is this speed of change and the impact that has on our nervous system.
It's really fundamentally basics. Law, sunrise,
Certain things that have felt stuck for years, like literally within a matter of days getting unstuck.
I'm shocked at how fast information is coming in from all directions.
It still is about those kind of chop wood, carry water things at the end of the day.
What we need to do is do enough today and do more tomorrow. So the law of compounding interest.
Bravely take one step after the next.
The baby was born with this chart. This would be a wild chart to live with.
Welcome back to the Astrology Hub podcast. I'm so happy you all decided to join us today. I am thrilled to introduce astrologer, author, and wellness coach Jennifer Racioppi. Many of you have met her on our platform before. It's been a while though, so it's great to have Jennifer back. Jennifer's also one of our upcoming Inner Circle astrologers. She will be guiding all of you members for the lunar cycle that begins with Libra, the Libra new moon in 2025. She's also here to give us the month ahead forecast for August, including a lot of very tangible and practical guidance for how to actually work with these energies productively in your life. Just a little bit about Jennifer. She is the author of Cosmic Health, Unlock Your Healing Magic with Astrology, Positive Psychology, and Integrative Wellness, a transformational guide that blends astrology with science-backed well-being practices. She's not just a chart interpreter, she's a certified Duke Integrative Medicine health coach, holistic health counselor, positive psychology coach, and a registered astrologer whose work has been featured in Well and Good, Cosmopolitan, Mind Body Green, Forbes, Business Insider, and so much more. So she's going to be bringing that perspective, all of those different modalities into her guidance for us here in August. And Jennifer, welcome back to the Astrology Hub podcast.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. What an honor.
Yes. All right. And she's just been giving me a little bit of like behind the scenes sneak peek into the energy of August. And it sounds like a rip roaring month with lots of very specific opportunities that we can take advantage of. So why don't we just begin with the overarching theme, Jennifer? If you had to give August a theme, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think August helps us really get a grip on the shifting reality in front of us, what we need to see, who we're becoming. As so many astrologers have noted, this summer is the dress rehearsal. We're in this long-winded birth canal to some unknown future that we're consciously co-creating on one level and also inheriting on the next. And I think a lot of people are struggling with that pull of like, what is mine to do versus how do I ride this wave that's going somewhere that I really can't control? And I think that this month is a month where we can actually start to see what our next chapter is going to be. I think that there are glimpses of clarity, glimpses of true foresight into where we're going next, what we want to do, how we want to structure our ambition and our dream. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction, blending with the Uranian influence of out-of-the-box thinking, radical change, and the Pluto influence of really owning our power. Clearly we start the month in a Mercury retrograde. We have Mars moving into Libra on the 6th of August. We have Venus in Cancer squaring that Saturn-Neptune as the month begins. And I think that that's a good place to start because Venus in Cancer is what we love, how we love, what we hold dear to us. Cancer being home, family, our sense of safety, security. In that square to Saturn, discipline, structure, to Neptune, hopes, dreams, illusions. And I think that the month opens with a real strong call to, hey, what are my values? How are my values changing? How can I be true to my values? What am I stepping into this month? The month moves pretty fast despite the retrograde activity, especially as we get closer to that really rip-roaring full moon on the 9th. And I think that full moon in and of itself is just this glimpse into the crucible There's a lot of locomotive energy, a lot of fast moving insights and change. There isn't really earth in the chart. So it can be really heady, not grounded. That's some of the stuff I want to talk about. And then as we get through the month, especially moving through the really important sextiles we have this month, we're coming into this new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees. And I think that this new moon in Virgo is really a fated moment where it's square Uranus. It's has 2 inconjuncts forming a yod. And I think that there's something coming up around the Virgo energy around getting really focused, disciplined, and structured, where either by choice, by force, we're going to have to really prioritize what we want to focus on. And then, of course, we leave the month and we're into eclipse season. So things are going to be moving, rocking and rolling. It's real fast. From my perspective, it's real fast. And it comes in phases, right? It starts out like, where am I? What is this? What's the big picture? What am I stepping into? What am I structuring? I think it gets really weird in a good way. Like the Aquarius full moon is such an invitation to let the freak fly, freak flag fly. And of course, we have this really powerful kite with the grand trine to Mars, Uranus, and Pluto, with Neptune and Saturn sextiling Pluto and Uranus at the top. So that's like really fast breakthroughs, energy, definitely mental in a lot of ways. And then as the month progresses and we move into Virgo season, it really reigns in that Leo energy and has us focus on the details, the practicalities. Ready or not, here we come. And we are heading straight into Q4 of 2025. And it's been such a year.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is a fast pace, the ability to, or the either by necessity or by choice, getting very clear on your values and what it is that you're stepping into as we move into that last part of the year. And that, can you go through some of that, those major transits, the ones that you talked about that we're going to be kicking the month off and what they're enabling? Because I also heard innovative breakthroughs and radical change. Where am I? What am I stepping into? And just a new level of clarity around those kinds of questions. Like, so for people who have felt kind of confused about that and have felt like, wow, the future is very unknown. I don't know where I'm going, but I feel in some way like I'm preparing for something. I don't know if anyone else out there has had that feeling, but yeah.
Acquainting, learning, choosing, but without real certainty. In our
wait, say that again, Jennifer.
We're acquainting, like familiarizing ourselves with what this feels like now, because it's a strong imprint for where we're going. It echoes to the past, it echoes to the future. So what is this? We're learning, okay, how do I feel about this? What's coming through? I mean, my clients are having pretty significant, almost immediate radical breakthroughs. And it's kind of intriguing how quickly people are like just having these massive ahas. And I think that that's really up in the air. And then, of course, we're choosing. What is it I'm going to live in devotion to? What is it that if I was going to structure my life around, what's the goal? What's the vision? What's the value? What's the why? And then, and I think that those moments of clarity are both real and fleeting. But to put it in the context of, just transits, we have this month, this full moon is so massive, so big, but it's not just the full moon. It's this locomotive grand trine, which is a kite, Uranus in Gemini at 1 degree, trining Pluto with Mars also at 1 degree of Libra. So Mars is coming into this equation and it's setting off, Mars being action in Libra. It's also opposing Saturn and Neptune. And so there's a little bit of friction here, but there's a lot of energy and it's fast. So things like writing, super helpful right now, nervous system regulation, getting grounded, but opening up the insight to what is it I want? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? Taking it extraordinarily seriously, because this is if 2025 is a dress rehearsal for 2026, August is potentially when we figure out what we're actually rehearsing for. Like, what is it that we're moving into? Like, what is the little black dress that we want to wear? Of course, we're going to adorn it with all the different accoutrements, but like, what is it that we're stepping into? And this is a real amazing time to be getting clear on those bigger pictures, especially as we ready ourselves for Virgo season.
One thing that's been coming up a lot lately is this speed of change and the impact that has on our nervous system.
Yes.
And so what are you telling clients in terms of how to regulate and work with the amount of radical change that's happening in our lives?
So, without going on a soapbox, I think a lot of this comes down to some version of sobriety in your life. And I don't mean like necessarily eradicating substances. If that's in your constitution, fine. I just mean looking for the places where you lose your choice, where you're doing things compulsively and you're losing your choice. Yeah. Because that's where these moments get evaporated, and that's where we fundamentally get off kilter. So that's a little bit like playing goalie. And then if we're going to go on offense, right, and we're trying to really do some deeper work, I mean, it's really fundamentally basics. Walk, sunrise, sunlight in your eyes, touch earth, especially this full moon, touch earth, get to some grass or find some natural place to be. Community. This is a full moon in Aquarius. Who are your people? Who can you co-regulate with? Who brings your nervous system down? And then there's like a slow of nervous system actual regulation tools people can be using. There's practitioners that can help you with it. There's somatic practices. One thing I've been using in my life for these last couple of years is expressive writing about different periods of my life, what it brought up, habitually writing on the same topic for multiple days in a row. And that is super Uranus and Gemini. And also looking out for this Mars and Libra opposite Saturn, Neptune, which to me looks like a pretty close conjunction. I know that we're holding that for February as the exact conjunction, but if a baby was born with this chart and they came to me as a client right now, I would be, these aspects are so tight and they're so real and they're so pronounced that we're essentially in this birth canal of what we're being born to. But when we look at that Mars opposite, Mars and Libra, saying like, okay, it's about other people and relationship. Saturn and Aries saying it's about me and my purpose. So we're on that fundamental me versus we access point. And it's really about learning how to manage that. Which relationships are bringing me up? Which relationships do I need some space around? How do I manage codependency, people pleasing? What are my boundaries? What kind of space do I need? I think downtime is the most underestimated nervous system regulation tool available to all of us, true downtime. And so many people don't even know at this point how to take it because things are happening so fast. We're constantly connected to media, social media, regular media. And right now, like we can do things way quicker than we ever could. And that point of acceleration's seemingly going faster. Especially as we flirt with Neptune sextile to Uranus. I mean, we're stepping into a reality that I couldn't even imagine really where we're going, but it's fundamentally changing so fast. There are some real practical things we can be doing around like flower essences and magnesium and supplements and eating blood sugar balanced diets and, staying mindful of what brings us way up but brings us way down. And trying to find that middle ground.
Hey there, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have something I think you're really gonna love. Imagine starting each day with a direct download from the cosmos. Something short, simple, and soul-centering. That's exactly what the Cosmic Pulse is. It's a quick daily text message that gives you the key astrological insight for the day ahead, delivered right to your phone via text. We've offered it for years now, but just for our Inner Circle members. And for the first time ever, we're making it available to everyone. And here's what our members say about the Cosmic Pulse. It's like receiving a little clue on how to navigate the day. Or they've become part of my daily routine. Another member said, these texts snap me back into alignment when I'm feeling off And another one said, sometimes I use them as a journal prompt. They're that good. So if you're looking for a simple, powerful way to feel more aligned, grounded, and supported every day, come feel the pulse with us. You can try it free for 14 days, no obligation, no pressure. And if it does resonate, it's just 16 cents a day or $4.99 per month to stay in rhythm with the cosmos. Just go to astrologyhub.com/pulse or click the link in the show notes to get started. And now back to the episode. You also mentioned breakthroughs and that you're noticing that clients are having breakthroughs. I've also noticed this, Jennifer, certain things that have felt stuck for years, like different aspects of different visions, different, things that I want to accomplish or other people in my life want to accomplish, like literally within a matter of days getting unstuck. And it just being like, whoa, I could have never imagined that there was a resolution to that particular obstacle because I couldn't imagine the solution from where I was because it just didn't exist in my frame of reference. So how many more of those are there? How many?
Revelatory transformation.
Yes.
Pyramid revelatory transformation. And we are either choosing to go along with that and then structuring that. So it's not sand through our hands. It's not fleeting, but it's sustainable, right? And organizing our life. Small, doable, consistent, I call it minimal viable effort. People call it all sorts of things to actually make that, we can have the revelation and we can free ourselves from certain things, but then we also have to live our life. And that's where it gets tricky, right? Like, where does behavior change come in? Where do we really step into this new iteration of ourselves? There's a ton of opportunities for that right now. There's so much opportunity. And I would argue that that is the point of this threshold between now and next summer, is to start to clarify, crystallize those revelations because they're coming ready or not. And then structuring routine, rhythm, commitment to self around that. But the trick is to not try to do it so fast. Like, don't put a 5-year goal on a 6-month timeline and set yourself up for disappointment. We don't need to do it that fast. What we need to do is do enough today, rinse, repeat, and do more tomorrow. So the law of compounding interest, this idea that if we do a little today and we do a little tomorrow, a little the next day, it feels really slow at first. But with these transits and where we're going into the latter part of this decade, they stack and they add up, right? And I think that there's this existential burden of like, what do I do with all this energy? And I'm consciously creating my future. Is this the future I want? And it feels heavy, it feels intense, and it feels like a lot of responsibility. But if we can get really crystal clear, particularly at the start of August, on what it is that what are these revelations pointing us to? Who are we now that we've had the revelations, and who does this person that we are now structure her time? It's not the same as it was before. And clean it up, just center that focus and start to live your life in accordance obediently with devotion to the person and the iteration of yourself that you're stepping into. But yeah, these revelations, I'm shocked at how fast information is coming in from all directions, but psychically, like reflection, deep self-knowing, honoring, we're breaking out, we're breaking free, we're stepping into new iterations of reality. Reality is bending and shaping in its own way. And we as humans are just calibrating to that. We're co-regulating with a changing world.
Right. It's so interesting what you're talking about because with Saturn so involved, it still is about those kind of chop wood, carry water things at the end of the day. Right? Like, so we have these mind-blowing experiences, we have these, big breakthroughs and revelations, but then what I'm hearing you say is that then we have to actually ground them in our lives. I think of a garden, like we have to water them, fertilize them, tend to them, care for them. And that is our job. Like, that's our role here in order to bring these things to life in a meaningful way.
And marry it with the Neptunian dream, and then blend it with the Pluto power, the Plutonic power of raw, fierce drive, determination, relentless devotion to the truth of all truth, because the universe won't let you live in a bubble anymore. Like it can, right? But certainly when we start to move into like latter August, September, I think that the more we resist, the more we get blindsided and these hairpin turns whip us around instead of us feeling like we have more glide and ease with them. And then the Uranian piece here as well, which is radical breakthrough, evolution, change, revolution. And, when we marry that with the full context of what we're stepping into, this devotion, like Saturn is so many different things. He's the disciplinarian. He is the boundary enforcer. He can ground us when we don't want to be grounded. And it sounds like a lot of who wants it. But ultimately, Saturn is a force of structure, discipline, devotion. And I was taught like part of our soul purpose is to do our Saturn, right? Like we're honoring our soul purpose and we're marrying that with the dream and all of our psychic capacities to not just do our highest for ourselves, but to contribute that to an evolving world that we're on the version of, like, is it hell or is it, like these complexities of where are we going and is it going to be okay? Fundamentally, everyone just wants to know, is it going to be okay? Can I pay my mortgage? Can I raise my kids? Can I trust that the environment is not going to implode? Can I trust that we're not going to war? And like, are we okay right now, right? And if we're not okay right now, can we reach out for help? And if someone else is not okay right now, can we support them? But it's little steps at a time because we don't know where we're going. And we do know that we're on the cusp of a rapidly changing world, right? So many things are changing so fast. And at the same time, we are humans in a body and we have children who are inheriting this world and we cannot abandon them, right? That Leo season, don't abandon the children. It's to a reality that we've checked out of because we're overwhelmed.
So many thoughts. Do you believe that we chose to be here at this time? And do you also believe that this is one of the pivot, do you believe that the configuration of astrological events that are happening right now between, 2020 to 2027 are the most significant in any of our lifetime in terms of change?
I believe that we were certainly born to be here now, and I think it's a divine assignment. I think that we are amid a change that is an epic in history that we don't understand yet. We live life forward and understand it backwards. And that's both the gift of astrology and the perplexing quality of astrology is that we're always somewhat in the future, right? Predicting what's going to come next. But often we don't understand what happened until we look at it in retrospect. And I think that this moment, right, August 2025, we're at this threshold where we're not where we were. We will retrograde in some aspects back and we will pick up pieces and finish chapters, certainly, but we are really launching into a new iteration of our existence and we don't know what that is yet. And I think, of course, we're here right now. And of course, this is a monumental, huge shift. We have these 5 trines between Uranus and Pluto. We have Neptune in this sextile to both as we go through this. I mean, the forthcoming changes we're blending into a different reality. The advent of AI, longevity science. There's so many amazing things happening that, of course, we're here right now. I also fundamentally believe that we are those of us tuning in, those of us doing this work. We are the fire tenders. And we're preserving something sacred that could very easily get lost as this goes forward. And I'm not sure that we're the generation that experienced heaven on earth. I think that we're the generation that endures keeping what's sacred, so keep pride, pass it down to next generations. So those secrets are safe for a time when the universe this planet could potentially be in a more equanimous, joyful place. I don't know if and when I'm open to it, right? Like if we're consciously creating our universe, please. And simultaneously, at the end of the day, it is really about resilience and understanding that we can and will get through this And as we do, we are co-creating a reality that in some ways exceeds any expectation we've ever had for what reality could be. And that comes with gifts and also the need to preserve humanity and these sacred practices that have been with us for so long. Lunar ceremony, observing the sky, knowing our right place in the universe at any moment, tending to our body, opening our hearts. We have this beautiful Jupiter-Venus conjunction in Cancer. Like, what a heart opener this month. And how glorious for us to be there and have that sweet, sweet, sweet aspect on the 12th. The day that Mercury stations direct on the 11th, we have Saturn and Uranus making their second sextile, where we're reviewing what we've learned since early, spring, April-ish. And we're integrating lessons through this very retrograde moment where we get to reflect, revisit, and renew our sense of innovation and purpose. And I think that these are really sacred portals, friends. Did that answer the question?
Yes, definitely, definitely. And, when you were talking earlier, it reminded me when you were saying, are we going to be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be okay? And all the different questions that so many of us are holding in our hearts as we're navigating such an unknown period of time. It reminds me of this moment that I had one time. I was just contemplating God, and I was contemplating this idea of, is God good? Like, fundamentally, is God good? And I heard, I don't know. Are you? And I went, oh, okay, I get it. So I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm God. What I'm trying to say is that are we okay? I don't know. Are you? And can you be? And can you make it okay? And can you seize the opportunity? And can you answer the call and the invitation, like you're saying, for those future generations? If we're the bridge generation, if we're the ones tending the fire, if we're the one making sure that there's a certain element of sacred that is carried forward, can we place our focus there? And can we actually do that? And
that's our job.
That's our job. So then it's like, I don't know, can you? It's like, well, yes. Okay, fine. I can. Yes, I can. So I think that, each of us, it seems like we're all making these decisions in real time as we just kind of bravely take one step after the next into this unknown territory.
It is such a gift and such a joy to be alive. It requires so much discipline right now to stay in the present moment and be available for those conversations. Am I okay? Well, what do I need to change? Because the answer is not in doom scrolling, and the answer is not in filling the space with mindless things, and the answer is not in disenfranchising ourselves from our authentic, deepest sense of liberation, joy, power, purpose. Those are not the answers, right? So we have to actually create the space through the hard work of boundaries, routine, figuring out what grounds us. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different astrological constellation. Everyone has a different need. Everyone has different elemental configurations in their chart. So what works for you, and how do you keep coming back to this moment? And can you consistently continue to open your heart in both, appropriate worry, right? There's a lot to be appropriately worried about right now without catastrophizing, and just keeping on this long exhale that we're in. I think August is a chance for a big exhale. And then I think we catch our breath. And then as we prepare for September, especially with so many forthcoming changes, it's just back to that deep focus of the Virgo influence as we prep for eclipse season.
No. And I know we're really focused on August right now, but it sounds like August is almost like a preparation for eclipse season. And if we do bring this level of awareness and intentionality and staying as present as possible and taking care of our nervous system and asking those deep questions about, what am I stepping into next, and how is that aligned with my values and all those good things, that we are in a preparation mode for the eclipse season. Just briefly, what would you say is the flavor of these eclipses? What are you seeing there?
I mean, it's our second new moon in Virgo. The first one's at 0 degrees, the last one's at 29 degrees. And I think that when we have back-to-back new moons in Virgo, what is Virgo? Virgo is to unto self, right? The virgin, the call to service, right? And I think we're clearing the path of the egoic mind that thinks that is somehow not a valuable thing to be doing with our lives. Personally, I think that we're figuring out what are we in service to, what's the small little actions that we can take to make our world a better place. We can't control, governments at the level of which, we have all these world powers warring with one another. We can call our people, right? We can call our congressmen, but ultimately, we still have a big role here, which is to be in service to one another and to figure out what we're devoted to. I think that is really the overarching theme. And the end of the month, it ends with Uranus-Neptune sextile, which is a huge segue into this blending of innovation and spirituality. And I think that actually resonates and reverberates as we come into our, next lunation in our next month. And I think that we're bringing with us this deep sense of, I'm having revelations, I'm getting clarity, I'm somewhat burdened and frustrated by reality for all reality reasons. I'm choosing not to escape, but I am properly visioning. And from that, I'm distilling what is mine to tend to.
Yeah. You've mentioned the full moon in August several times. What is making this such an impactful full moon?
Well, it's a 16-degree Aquarius full moon.
And what's the date?
August 9th. So we have August 9th, we have Mercury stationing direct shortly thereafter. We have the second of 3, Saturn sextile Uranus. We have Mars opposite Saturn Neptune. We have this Jupiter-Venus conjunction in Cancer. And then Mercury stationing direct shortly thereafter in Leo at 4 degrees roughly, and in a trine to Saturn. So it's a lot of fire and air, a little bit of water, not a lot of earth. And so when we see this much air and we see this much fire, we know that it's fast thinking, high level energy with this fire coming in to amplify it, air amplifying fire. It's exciting. This is an exciting full moon. And then we have that sweet Jupiter-Venus conjunction happening. And then Mars blending so powerfully with this Uranus-Pluto trine and forming this kite grand trine with this Neptune, Saturn sextiling Uranus and Pluto. This is extraordinarily locomotive. This is extraordinarily insightful. This is high energy, high vibe, a little bit of frustration, not a lot of grounded energy. This is, ecstatic dance, moon ceremonies, parties, groups, gatherings, or it's deep introspection, revelation, however, whatever, if you want to be raucous or monastic, it's all available to you this full moon. But ultimately, the baby was born with this chart. This would be a wild chart to live with, and we all get to live it this moment.
Jennifer, what else would you advise to our community in terms of just key things to to keep in mind, and potentially practices or approaches that they can implement in their life to really harness the energies?
Meditation, journaling, walking, basic movement, right? Like if you want to be doing weights, please have at it. But we're just talking about basic movement. If you don't have mobility as an option, gentle stretching in a chair, right? Things where you're consciously opening up. Prayer is a big thing right now, no matter what your spiritual beliefs are, the serenity prayer, accept the things that cannot change, the courage to change the things that can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Structured, disciplined ritual, if that's your calling, like I'll certainly be doing ritual around this. Asking for old patterns to be released as we step into new iterations, visioning exercises, uh, dialoguing with your former self. You know, if this decade thus far taught me X, Y, and Z, what did I learn? How am I integrating that information right now? And if everything goes as well as it could, what happens from this place now, right? And I think that asking smart, mindful questions is a really great way, certainly through writing. You know, I just really recommend journaling right now. Whether you love it or not, you can get a lot done. And even if you don't love it, right? Like the idea of the thoughts, the words will come. Focusing on ways to honor both your inner child, what did it get, what didn't it get, and the children in your life is a big call right now.
Anything else you want to leave us with? Any other transits that you feel we didn't cover in a way that they need to be covered?
I will say that it's important to consider some, like, you know, really take this time this month, looking at it all together to articulate what you've learned thus far this year, if not this decade, as I said in my previous iteration. And where do I really want to be come the end of this year? Because all combined, we're looking at a soup of long-winded transits that are carrying us through the many, many illuminations forward. And they're all powerful in their own right, and they're particularly powerful in the confluences we see now. And they're going to evolve in varying degrees over a segue of time that is quite long ahead of us. And just to hammer home the point that we're in the choice moment right now. Yeah. And given all of this, what are you understanding about yourself, and how do you want to step into this next iteration of your understanding of what you need and how you're going to care for oneself and others?
Jennifer, thank you so much. This has been an amazing coverage of August. It sounds like a very, very dynamic, catapulting kind of month. And I really look forward to being able to be with you in the inner circle. What are you going to teach for your Libra lunation?
Saturn. We're talking about Saturn.
Nice.
Myths, ways to work, way to structure dreams, hopes, desires, the practicalities of honoring oneself, but ultimately the legacy of Saturn for all of it.
I love it. Okay. Looking forward to that. Just thank you, everybody, so much for being here. Have a great month ahead. I'll look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Thank you, as always, for making astrology a part of your life. See you soon.